You're listening to the Spunky Spirit Podcast, where intuition meets real life. Hello, and welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I am Psychic Medium Cari Mugz, and today we're going to talk about volcanoes and how spiritual they are, how spiritual the earth is, because honestly, when I went to Scotland and I went to Hawaii and I've been to Island Park, and I don't know if you guys have been to a place in Island Park called Quake Lake, they are the most sacred places that I've ever felt. And I love the feeling of some of these places. I mean, there's places, Sedona, there's places on this earth that just have a dynamic to them. And it just makes you feel like the earth is completely alive. And it makes you feel so like the oceans do too. But volcanoes, to me, I don't know what it is about them that just makes it feel so, I guess it could be a lot of the symbolism. Like they're just, sometimes we just, as people, we can only take so much and then we get ready to explode, right? So I'm not really going to talk about them as a geological perspective, but mostly as a spiritual perspective, just because there's no denying the feel of them. I grew up in Island Park, and we would go camping every year in Island Park, and I loved it. I loved the feel there. I still do. And anytime you go to a paranormal investigation or anytime you go to some land, a paranormal investigation, they always tell you to feel the land, see what's with the land. There's so much about the land. And same with Native Americans. Land is sacred. Land is so sacred. And when I do readings, sometimes the spirits will come in and be like, the land has been in the family for generations and our energy will always be on this land. And so land is earth is very important. Earth has its own spirit. Earth houses us in its own spirit. And a lot of people think that the earth is female, and there's lots of different vortexes in the earth. So like we as humans have chakras, and the earth also does too. So there's lots of different places. And I'm sure the volcanoes or the places that I've been are only a small, tiny bit of that. And I understand that. So, but I think if spirit was honest, that's going to be my new theme for all these. It would tell us that earth is always speaking to us all the time. Earth is speaking to us constantly. So as our ancestors and our loved ones are speaking to us, but I believe that earth is too. Sometimes we just don't know how to listen. And so we think that when we think about spirituality, we think of many focus on the signs from our loved ones, the messages from our loved ones. But our greatest spiritual teacher can be the earth and the land. And so I kind of just think that there's a sacredness about it. So when we think about a volcano, we think beneath the surface, there's movement, there's pressure, there's heat, there's transformation, there's energy building, there's in ways that can't be seen, right? And I think that that's constantly, as in life, constantly doing that, the same thing. And it's kind of exactly what happens during an awakening, when we're going through an awakening. And from the outside, nothing appears to be different when we're going through an awakening. But inside, we just feel, from the outside, we still go to work. We pay our bills. We do, we check our emails. We go, do the regular things. We do the laundry. We do the dishes. But underneath, when we're going through an awakening, it's chaos. It's chaos. We think we're crazy. We think that things are, we think it's just us. We think that, are we going through menopause? Are we going through, and you sense all these things and it's just so crazy, and it's emotional and it's sensitive and we just know that something is changing. And I kind of feel like volcanoes are the same way. The energy, the transformation begins long before anyone can see the evidence of it. And it's something I find fascinating. It's just kind of like there's so much energy, so much built up. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, because when I am around the calderas, there's just so much feeling and emotion. And sometimes I wonder if that's where the earth sometimes releases the anger or the emotions, right? Like if the earth releases the stress, like tsunamis and, anytime that the earth just like rebels, I wonder if this is part of that. And I know, you know, I think that we've all had moments where we've stood in nature and just felt something. And a feeling that when we're standing in the presence of something bigger than ourselves, I know that lots of people feel that when they go to the ocean. I know that people feel that. I feel that with volcanoes, and I feel like that in the forest. I love the ocean. I'm kind of scared of the ocean because I think there's lots of things inside the ocean that we don't know of, kind of like space. But I feel that I do feel that with oceans, but I also feel like that with volcanoes. And Quake Lake was super crazy. It could be eerie, but it was also very sacred. Sacred. I think that we just are standing on something bigger than ourselves when we're in these moments, when we're by the ocean or we're in a volcano. And the earth has a pulse, like a rhythm, like a heartbeat. And the volcanoes remind us of that. And I think the waves of the ocean do too. So that's why they're kind of like the same. So the evidence beneath the ground we walk on, the planet is still creating itself. It's still moving. The oceans are moving. The volcanoes moving. We're still evolving, and Earth is still very much alive. Kind of makes me wonder sometimes as a collective if sometimes the Earth is sad, just because just because of everything that's going on. So, these places just feel spiritually charged, and sometimes people can have profound healings here, awakenings, breakthroughs. And I think it's because the volcanic energy represents pure transformation, like complete and just explosion and exhaustion, right? And nothing stays the same around volcanoes. They're always changing, it's just kind of like Earth itself or our lives themselves. And the landscape changes, the environment can change, new land is always created. It's just kind of a symbolism of us. The old structures disappear or they adapt. And so during an awakening, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. So I just feel like I don't even know how to explain it. In fact, this was one of the hardest podcasts because I don't know how to explain the feeling, right? It's like trying to explain what salt tastes like. It's trying to explain the power, the energy, just the power. And I love that too. Volcanoes can represent us stepping into our power after an awakening. We can feel crazy and have all this disruption, but we can also step into our power. Eventually within us, when we're having an awakening, something has to shift. We have to give up the old, because once you go through an awakening, you can't unsee the things that you've seen. You can't unsee the truth, right? You can't, it's there. And kind of same, that's what they represent the same thing. Once it explodes, you can't go back. You can't go back and you have to start anew. Eventually, something has to erupt. Something has to give when you're doing an awakening. I guess maybe that's why I love volcanoes, because they represent awakening. They represent the change. They represent you changing and awakening, and oceans kind of represent the calm. Unless they're like pissed off, then they can have like way big waves. But volcanoes are always just fascinating in the way that it's like an awakening, right? We can associate the eruptions with the destruction of the awakening. Spiritually, though, eruptions are often like acts of liberation. And when you finally set your boundaries, the moment you leave a relationship, the moment you start a business, the moment you stop living for everyone else's expectations, and the moment you really finally start to trust your intuition, that's your eruption. That's what your eruption is. It's not like a mad thing. It's just things when you finally kind of step into your power, and those things are sacred, just like volcanoes. I think that's why Quake Lake is so sacred too, and so kind of not eerie, but sacredness around it. So Quake Lake is a place where some campers, it's up by Island Park. I think it had to do with the volcano, but there was like an earthquake of some sort, like a quake, and the mountain kind of dissipated, like fell on a bunch of campers. I think 70 people lost their lives. And it was it happened in the 1950s. And now there's a big lake for where and it's just sacred. I mean, there's trees in it, and sometimes there's a mist, and it actually can kind of look kind of creepy. It really can. But if you actually know what happened there, there's just a sacredness about it because the land speaks. Land speaks. That's why grounding is so important, right? Take off your shoes, walk in the grass, because there's something about the land, the energy with the land. So our moments and awakenings can feel disruptive, but honestly, and it can feel like chaos, and it can feel like you're going crazy and you've lost your mind, but it isn't chaos. It's truth. It's authenticity. It's the soul saying, I can no longer be buried. Kind of like, that's with the, with the volcanoes. Many of us spend years like compressing ourselves in silence. We silence our intuition. We're scared to speak. We ignore our gifts. We convince ourselves that we're imagining things. And all this energy has to go somewhere, right? It all has to like go inside of us. And then eventually our soul demands expression. Eventually the truth surfaces, and eventually the eruption comes. And I feel like that's kind of where that's why I just love volcanoes. I don't love the destruction. I just love what it represents. And honestly, the feeling that I get, the land becomes incredibly fertile, and it's, some of the richest oils on earth, soil on earth, I'm not oils, come from volcanic regions. And a lot of these, what first appears destructive eventually becomes to a place where it flourishes, right? So volcanoes can disrupt and be destructive. And then all around, it's kind of like the forest fire of Yellowstone, everything kind of just, and I think the same thing with us, like the same thing is like divorces, heartbreak, illness, move, loss, grief, spiritual crisis, spiritual awakenings, just those are some of the deepest, darkest things that we can go through. And I think that sometimes that's what it can represent to me. And just like Earth, sometimes we just have to let these things emerge. We just have to let them go. We just have to, and I'm not saying like lose your temper and be mean to everybody. I'm just saying give yourself grace. And I've just talked to my counselor about this today. Give yourself grace. And when you have those triggers, or when you have those destruction times, we're so hard on ourselves because we think that we need to do it better. And in reality, we need to just be like, okay, this is just, it's okay. It's okay to be human. In fact, I posted that on my social media this week. The most spiritual thing that you can do is be human. That's what we're here to do. We're here on earth, on this land, to be human. And so when we try and bypass that, and when we try and become so spiritual that we become non-human, that's not the point. The point is to be here on this earth is our school. This land is our school. And it's not a pass or fail test. It's just an experience. We wanted this experience because we can be volatile like a volcano. We can have all those emotions. On Earth, it is the most emotional planet. And we can feel all these emotions and we don't know how to handle them. And so we can just erupt. And I feel like that's kind of what, that's what the volcano represents. And so on Earth, we have to try and learn to kind of tame those emotions or control those emotions without destroying ourselves. And I feel like that's part of it. That's part of it. And I guess I just like the spiritualism, the symbolism of the volcanoes. I will 100% say that they just feel different to me when I'm around them. When I'm on earth that has a volcano or land that has a volcano, it just feels different. It feels powerful. Like it's not even sacred. It's just powerful. So much energy. I can't even explain it. So allowing ourselves and forgiving ourselves, is so important. And I think that sometimes, we can feel uncertain. We can feel like things just aren't going our way, or we feel like, sorry, my notes are getting all mixed up. That it's just hard. And so we feel like we're going to explode. And sometimes we do. And that's okay. Because after the explosion comes the grace. And when I talked about the earth chakras or the earth places, that they're so sacred or there's an emotional feeling around them. There's so many that are drawn to volcanoes, and there's Hawaii, and there's Iceland, Mount Shasta, Yellowstone. And these are places that feel like spiritually charged, right? Like spiritually powerful. And it's so funny because I think I just realized in this moment that it's not about being sacred. It's just such a powerful energy. Like for a minute, I thought this is so sacred. But honestly, it's just such a powerful thing. It's so powerful. And it's just so, I remember when I'd go to Island Park when I was little, because there's a caldera in Island Park. And I would want to bring parts of it home with me. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to bring any parts of Volcanoes home with you. But I would want to bring, pine cones with me, and I would sneak sticks in the thing because I just could feel that power. I just could feel that memory. And the trees. There's a sacredness about trees too, you guys. They say that if you tell the trees your problems, the trees will take it away. There is a multi-system of trees, like the roots of the trees are all connected underground in the earth, in the land. And they can contact each other. So if I went and told my problems to trees in Island Park, they would go to the trees in my backyard. Some people think that this is a witchy kind of thing, but honestly, it's the truth. It's just the truth. And trees have lives, and trees have energy. And I remember, growing up, I could hear the plants. If my mom didn't water the plants, or if I didn't water my plants, I could hear them kind of scream. Like I could hear them make like a noise, like a E sound, like a E. And so I'd always make sure I'd water the plants. Things are alive. Everything around us has life and energy. And it just makes you realize that there's so much more, right? There's so much more. And I love the little memes on like TikTok or Facebook or Instagram where the person's like dancing and they're like, you think I care about what you think? And then they go out clear into space and they look down at the world and they think that's just small compared to what we live in. And that's the truth. Like this earth is so profound, and earth wasn't meant to be super easy. We chose to come here to, earth is prime school real estate. And we chose to come here to learn because this is the fastest place to learn and it is the hardest place to learn. And sometimes it can overwhelm us. And just like volcanoes and just like oceans, we can erupt or we can be calm 1 minute and then explode the next. And it's the same, our energy. And it's just so powerful. If you stop to think that you are just as powerful as a volcano and you are just as powerful as an ocean, it's kind of an amazing thing, right? And when I talk power, I don't mean like Jafar destruction to power, like evil, I'm going to kill everybody, Jafar on Aladdin power. I'm talking about electricity power. I'm talking about the power that you have inside you. If there was one thing that I wish everybody would understand, and even me, because we always do that I'm not enough thing all the time, is that I wish you knew how powerful you really are and how much you can make the change, because there's so many of us that think that we don't make a difference. There's so many of us that think that we are powerless. There's so many of us that think we can't do anything, that we're not capable to help the change. But I'm telling you, you yourself are a volcano. The collective is a volcano. And there's going to be a moment that you're going to erupt. Personally, your eruption is probably during a spiritual awakening, when everything feels chaotic and crazy and you feel like you're losing your mind. Collectively, I think we've seen a few on the earth of collective eruptions, but I don't know how many exactly. And I think that, some might be starting to ensue. But I just want you to know, if you could imagine how powerful, if you could imagine yourself like a volcano, calm and steady, always changing, always moving, looking like everything's fine on the outside, but on the in, you've just got this hot molten, this, all these things. And, the destruction, the destruction that's going on inside, setting boundaries, liberation, business, trusting our intuition, feeling disruptive. Those things are sacred. And sometimes you feel like you're going to explode, and sometimes you can. But I feel bad because I think some people kind of wanted this to be a geological thing, but it is geological as in the land, and the land being beautiful, and the land being sacred, and the land being important. But if you tie it to spirituality, science and spirit need to combine. And then it'll be crazy. But for some reason, they're so separate. And I feel like the time has come, and they probably will start to combine. I just want you to know that what is erupting in you is truth. It's not chaos. It's truth. It's authenticity. It's the soul saying, I can no longer be buried. Many of us spend years, just compressing ourselves. And sometimes it's time to just let it go. And, my favorite song now, if you guys listen to it, I posted some volcano pictures of Yellowstone because I loved it. I loved the feeling. And I posted the song by Jimmy Buffett, Volcano. And it's one of my favorite now. It makes me laugh. So anytime I'm in a bad mood, I play that song. I don't know where I'm going to go when the volcano blows. And it's kind of like he's talking in, am I going to end up in San Francisco? Am I going to end up here? I don't want to be there. And I just think in terms of me, where am I going to be when I finally, when you finally come out of the other end of an awakening, or you finally come out at the end of a spiritual lesson, where is it going to put you? Like, it's going to be so much farther than where you started. And so I love that. So anytime I'm kind of having a bad day, or anytime I kind of feel like there's a lot of pressure, I play that Jimmy Buffett song. So if you are having a bad day, go play that song because it's awesome and it gets you in a good mood, and it's awesome. So, I think that the earth teaches us lessons all the time. And, just remember that you are kind of like the earth. You're alive. You're evolving. You're becoming who you're supposed to be. And I think that that's what the volcanoes do. They teach us to be who we are. Finally, we just can't take it anymore, and we become who we need to be. And that maybe the earth teaches us that lesson all the time. Just remember the earth is alive, and the grass is alive. The trees are alive. Everything is alive that's around you. Everything has a signature, has a scientific structure. You can go look in sacred geometry for that if you want to go down that rabbit hole. And your soul might be preparing for its own spiritual rupture. And that's okay, because you're going to end up in a beautiful place after it's done. So, yeah, there you go. The earth does not fear its eruptions. We do as people, but the earth does not. And it knows that it's part of the evolution. It knows that it's part of the change. And maybe our souls do too. Maybe it's super hard for us, and it's chaotic and it's messy, but our souls know that it's, oh, I hated this. The stupid volcanoes are making me cry. Our souls know what's the best or what's good for us, and our ancestors and our spirit guides. So yeah, it is. It's hard and it's scary, but it's going to be good. When you come out the other end, it's going to be good. So for those of you that want to tap into your intuition more, I do have an online class coming up. It's not in-house. It's not at my wellness center. It's online. And it's finding your inner compass. and how to feel safe, to feel your intuition, how to feel your intuition through your body. And it's awesome. It's going to be an awesome class. I taught it live in my wellness center, and it was a really good class. And so this time it's just going to be, I will be there. It's not going to be just a recorded class. It's going to be live, a Zoom class that I will be there at and teach you the things. So if you have questions at the time, and I will also record it, so you'll get it at the end. And I have some more stuff coming up. I'll be in France pretty soon, but just know too, at the end of June. And I have some group readings that are all the group readings are kind of sold out, but I'm going to be posting some more. And I think I'm going to come up with some new stuff too. Anyways, you'll see them when I come out. I just don't know when I'm going to get them out there. So I don't want to because I know it's hard to get in. I know that it's hard to get in, and I have lots of people emailing me saying, I just need this, or it's been so hard right now. I need to get in. Most of it is psychic stuff. Like, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know where to. So I'm going to try and make it so that might be easier to access, where the readings are psychic, but mediumship too. But if these will be more psychic things to be able to have access pretty fast instead of having to wait forever. I'm going to try and see if I can accommodate that somehow. And I'm starting to put out feelers. I'm going to try and have lots more, guests on the podcast, lots more people who you can follow, can help us with our intuition, can help us with our growing, our stuff, all the energy, paranormal, all of it. It's not just going to be me anymore. Maybe once a month it might be me, but mostly we're going to start to have lots of guests on, just because I feel like I can only tell you so much, right? And you can only hear me cry so many times about volcanoes. So I'm going to start getting my feelers out there, start sending some invites for some more guests. If you have a guest that you would like me to ask to be on this Spunky Spirit podcast, please DM me or send me if you have any kind of people who you think are local that would be a great guest too, or even afar. They don't have to be local. They can be, but if you have people that you would like to hear from or you think would be great options to be a guest on the show, please let me know. And that is all for today, you guys. I love you so much. Please watch. I'm going to be doing some stuff from France. It's going to be cool. It is a paranormal trip, so it's going to be more paranormal than anything, and it's going to be cool. So I will talk to you guys next time.